we learn more about the province's fall preparedness plan, questions are being raised about whether these measures, at least in the first phase, are enough. For more on this, we're joined by Dr. Dina Kulik, an Ontario pediatrician and the founder of Kid Crew Pediatric Medical Clinic. Doctor, thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Thank you.
So this is the largest plan when it comes to the flu shot campaign in Ontario's history. What is your reaction to that?
I think it's great to be trying to get as many people vaccinated as possible, but I do think it falls short considering we don't know where we're going to be giving these vaccines. Historically, we've given vaccines in doctors' offices, pediatrician offices, but now as we're trying to make sure as many kids as possible get vaccinated, kids less than 5 cannot get it elsewhere other than doctors' offices. How are we supposed to give these vaccines, the very many vaccines we want to give, in the confines of COVID, where we're trying to physical distance and maintain, sterility and make sure that everyone's safe and protected from COVID as well as the flu?
So it leads to a lot of questions. They ordered more than 5 million flu shots for this season. What would you propose? Because as you mentioned, a lot of clinics, a lot of offices are not open. What would you like?
I would love to see a group strategy between government levels, pediatricians, family doctors, public health authorities, where we can do mass campaigns and get many people vaccinated, ideally outdoors where we know COVID spreads less frequently, and avoid people having to cram into doctors' offices where we know it'll be difficult to maintain physical distance.
So a lot of pharmacies are going to be taking up the challenge. They already have in terms of giving the flu shots. But as you mentioned, a lot of people may not know this, that children under the age of 5 are not allowed to, or pharmacies are not allowed to give the flu shots to children under the age of 5. Could that change? Should that change?
I have a lot of hesitancy recommending people go to pharmacies to do COVID testing, get their medicines. These are people that are sometimes sick. That's why they're going to a pharmacy. We might be doing, other testing measures like maybe gargling testing soon in pharmacies. So we're going to have all these people that are potentially sick, people that are high risk in terms of getting medicines for diabetes and blood pressure. And we're going to be giving flu shots in these places. They're inside, they're in close confines. How do we maintain that physical distance?
How would you characterize your level of concern when it comes to this flu season?
I am very concerned. I want to make sure that kids are protected. Flu causes illness and significant, mortality rate across Canada in young people, particularly kids less than 2. These are our most vulnerable kids and most vulnerable patient population. They are less vulnerable to COVID. COVID, by and large, is not causing significant illness in young people, but flu does. And if people are scared to get the flu shot, they're at risk of getting the flu.
But given that, with these measures that we have already implemented, when it comes to masks, when it comes to physical distancing, would this mitigate what would otherwise be a potentially much worse situation?
Absolutely. We've seen in Australia, for example, who has flu season about 6 months before us, being the Southern Hemisphere, they did really well with their flu levels this year. However, they also had very low COVID levels at that time. As we are seeing levels of COVID rise, we're at risk of having levels of flu rise as well. So we are not exactly modeling what happened in the Southern Hemisphere.
Now, I've noticed some misinformation online when it comes to getting the flu shot, for example, and it's, alleged protection that some people argue, or at least the thought that it might protect against COVID. Some people see that as an added protection. Clear up any misunderstanding.
I think there's so much we need to learn about COVID. If it protects against COVID as well, that's amazing. Certainly protecting against what could be really devastating flu and COVID together, both respiratory viruses. If we could prevent one, if it prevents significant illness with the other, I'll take it.
We will have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Dr. Dina Kulik, a pediatrician in Ontario. We really appreciate your time and your insight this morning.